Welcome back, mathematicians. Today we're going to be moving on with a more complex understanding of volume. Today we're going to be looking at what's called composite shapes. Now, composite shapes are shapes that have two or more put together to form one shape, as you see in this picture right here that I have my mouse over. You'll see that there are two shapes there and it forms one whole shape. And we're going to be able to find the volume of that one whole shape. So today's learning goal says I can find the volume of a complex rectangular prism using the formula for a rectangular prism. The formula we're going to be using today is length times width times height. Volume is equal to length times width times height. So I'm going to write that there just so we have that throughout this entire lesson. I know on Tuesday, we worked on volume is equal to base times height. Today, throughout the entire lesson, we're going to be using the formula for a rectangular prism, which is volume is equal to length times width times height. So you'll see me refer to that formula throughout this entire lesson. Now, as you can see in front of you, the problem says, what is the volume of the solid below? So this is the solid we're going to be focused on. Now, if you notice, there are two rectangular prisms that are put together to form this one shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break apart this rectangular prism into two shapes. So I'm going to use one color. I'll use blue. So if you notice here, this will be one shape, and I'm going to call that shape A. And this will be the second figure, and I'm going to call this one shape B. Now, as you can see, I've broken the prism into two shapes because it's two shapes that are put together to form this one shape here. And I'm going to call the first shape, this bottom one at the bottom, shape A, and the one on top of it, shape B. And when you add shape A, rectangular prism A with rectangular prism B, you should get the volume of this entire composite shape. Now, let's look at shape A very closely. Okay, remember, volume is equal to length times width times height. So when we look at this, we can see here that shape A, we can see the length of shape A is 6 inches. That is the length of shape A. We can also see the width of shape A is right here, which is 5 inches. We can see the height. Now the height here is a little tricky. You have two measurements here. You have 4 inches and you have 2 inches. Now, when we look at shape A starts right here and ends right here. Do we see that? I'm just going to draw this purple line going down so you can see. So as you can see, the shape A starts here and ends here. So you can see the measurement we're going to be looking at for the height of shape A is 4 inches. Now, we're going to use the formula volume equals length times width times height to find the volume of shape A. And we're going to label it volume, and we'll put shape. We'll put shape A's volume. And we'll write the formula volumes equal to length times width times height. And we'll go ahead and plug in our numbers. We said the length is 6, the width is 5, and the height is 4. And we could go ahead and do our calculations. We know we'll put, actually, we know 6 times 5 is 30. And then we could do 30 times 4. And we know 30 times 4 gives us 120. So the volume for shape A is 120 cubic inches. And we'll mark that in. Now, in order for us to find out the full volume of the shape, we also have to find out the volume of shape B, which is sitting on top of shape A. So we're going to go ahead. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller so we can have enough room for shape A. Shape B. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to first find out the length, width, and height of shape B. And we're going to use green for that. Now, it gets a little tricky. Shape B, if you notice, it tells us here, this is the length here of shape A. I'm just going to mark all the parts. The length of shape A is here. The width would be along the side, and the height would be over here. So we can already see that based on here, they told us the length of shape B is 3 inches. Do we see that? It tells us 3, and I'm just going to circle that it says 3 inches there. Oh, that's not a circle. See? So I put a circle around shape B's length is 3 inches. Then as we continue on, we see the height here is told to us. The height for shape B is 2 inches. Now, the width, there's nothing marked there for the width. If you can see, nothing is marked there. But if you look at shape A, is the width the same as shape B? Yes. The width dimensions are exactly the same. So we know, based on looking at the width of shape A, that shape B's width is also 5 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and mark 5 inches for the width of shape B. So I'm going to go ahead, mark 5 inches. So now I have all my dimensions. My length is 3 inches, my width is 5 inches, and my height is 2 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in on my sheet. So volume of shape B. So we know shape B, the length is 3 inches, the width is 5 inches, and the height is 2 inches. So we know 3 times 5 is 15. And then we know 15 times 2 will give us 30. So the volume of shape B is 30 cubic inches. And I'm going to highlight. Now remember, shape A and shape B together would be the total volume of the shape. So we want to make sure we're getting the total volume of each of the shapes. So I'm going to go ahead and circle the volume of shape A So here's the volume of shape A. Here's the volume of shape B. And what I'm going to do with the volume of shape A and shape B, I'm going to add them together to get the volume of this solid here. So we would do 120 plus 30, and that will give us 150. The total volume of this solid is 150 cubic inches. As you can see, adding both shape A and shape B together will give us the total volume of this entire solid. All right, let's go ahead and try this second one out. What is the volume of this solid? So the first thing you want to do again is to label the two different shapes that you see in front of you. Label them shape A and shape B. I like to usually do shape A for the one that has the length, width, and height listed on the figure already. So if you look at the bottom shape, you will see that it already has the length, width, and height. So the bottom shape, we're going to label that shape A. And the top one, we'll label it shape B because it's missing some dimensions on it. So all right, so as we can see, let's go ahead and put in where our length, width, and height is. So we could see for shape A, the length, the width, and the height. Here is the length, 6 meters. Here is the width, 2 meters. And the height for shape A is 2 meters as well here. So here we have the length, width, and height of shape A. So let's go ahead and put it into our formula. So volume is equal to length times width times height. Let's go ahead and enter in the numbers. So our length is 6, our width is 2, and our height is 2. Oops. Then we will go ahead and put in our answer 6 times 2. We know that is 12. And then we could do 12 times 2, which gives us 24. Let's move that over a little, 12 times 2. So we know the volume is equal to 24 cubic meters. So that's only for shape A. So we'll mark it volume of shape A. Now we will move on and we'll find the volume of shape B. If you notice, shape B is a little bit tricky because some measurements are missing here. So we're going to have to figure out what are the missing measurements. Remember, we need to know the length, the width, and the height of shape A. So here's the length. We got to figure out the width, and we have to figure out the height. So remember, the length is how long something is, the width is how wide something is, and the height is how high something is. Now, one of the easiest ones that you can figure out right away is the width. Because if we know this is 2 meters from the first volume of shape A, then we know this will also be 2 meters. So we could go ahead and put in that the width for this one is 2 meters. The length and the height is a little bit tricky. So it tells us in shape A the full height is 6 meters. And then it shows us here that from here to here is 4 meters. So if I know the full length is 6, and I know from here to here is 4 meters, what would be here? What would be the length here? Well, think about it. What would be 4 plus what would give us 6? If you said 2, you're correct. So the length would be 2 meters here. Because remember, the full length is 6. And from here to here is 4. So to get the missing length, it will be 2 meters. So you can see 4 plus 2 would give us a total length of 6. So the length here is 2 meters. The width is 2 meters. Now what would be the height? The height. So it shows us the height, the total height of the whole shape is 4 meters. So I would have to figure out, well, how tall is it from here to here? Okay. Now, in the first prism, A, it tells us from here to here is 2 meters. So if I know from here to here is 2 meters, and the full length is 4 meters, that means this missing measurement will also have to be 2 meters, because 2 plus 2 gives us the full length, which is 4. So the length of this prism A is going to help us figure out prism B, just like the height of prism A is going to help us figure out the height of prism B. So my length, width, and height of prism B is 2 meters by 2 meters by 2 meters. So I'm going to go ahead and put in my dimensions into the formula. So I'm going to label it volume of shape B. Now I'll write the formula. Volume is equal to length times width times height. We know our length is 2 meters, width is 2, and our height is 2 as well. Let's go ahead and do our multiplication. 2 times 2, we know is 4. And then 4 times 2, we know it equals 8. So the volume of shape B is 8 cubic meters. So we can see here our volume is 8 cubic meters. So now I'm going to go ahead and we're going to add together the volume of shape A with the volume of shape B to get the total volume of this solid. So we would go total volume of solid. We can go ahead, we would add 24 plus 8. And that, when we add that together, that will give us the total volume of the shape. 24 plus 8 gives us 32. So we write 32 cubic meters. That is the total volume of the prism that we see in front of us. All right, so here we have the exit ticket problem. Remember to think about separating the length, width, and height of each of the shape. Label shape A, shape B, and come up with the volume of the solid below. Have a wonderful day.